Hey everyone, welcome to our podcast. And today we are going to discuss a topic which is very important but often overlooked, navigating birth control options with confidence. Because knowing your options is like having a superpower for your reproductive health. Joining me is Dr. Shweta with me. Welcome, ma'am, to the podcast.
Thank you, Pooja, for having me.
So, ma'am, let's start with the podcast.
Sure.
My first question to you is could you please elaborate the types of birth control options a women have?
Okay. So, see, whether it is a short term, long term thing, or any non hormonal thing, there is a whole bunch of options available for our patients.
Okay.
Like, say, for example, we have the pill, we have the ring, we
Okay.
have the patches, we have IUCDs. There are so many options, and we need to figure out what is the one which suits us the best.
Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, could you please elaborate more that what are the short-term and long-term birth control options?
Okay. So, the first one is the pill. We call it the OG of birth control. That means the original gangster.
Okay.
It's so easy. Pop in a pill and forget about it. You're good to go. But it is a daily reminder on your calendar that, okay, you have to take it every day.
Okay.
The second one is a patch. Patch means a sticker. So you can take it as stick it on, put it for a week and forget about it, but replace it next week.
Okay.
So again, it is very easy to insert and to take it out. You can do it yourself only. The third one is the ring. The ring is a small pessary like a thing which goes inside for a week and for a month, and then it can be replaced. So it is kind of a monthly reminder on your calendar that yes, you have to change the ring. Okay.
Okay.
The next comes a jab. This is an injection. So this is a little longer term, what we say for 3 months.
Okay.
So this is very good for those who don't want a daily reminder, but they are happy with a little longer term.
Okay.
Okay. Now, you might ask me that, ma'am, is there anything even further longer? So yes, we do have. We have something what we say an implant. It is
Okay.
a matchstick-like rod which
Mhm.
goes inside and it stays there for 3 years. So
Okay.
that's a long time. Again, it's like a superpower ninja on your team that, okay, there's something which is giving me a very long-term protection for 3 years. Then further, we have even our IUCDs, what we say the intrauterine contraceptive devices. So they can go on for years, somewhere between 5 years to 8 years. And they are like set it and forget it. So
Okay.
once it goes inside your body and it is fitted properly, you can forget about it for somewhere between 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
Okay. Now, last is what we say barrier methods. They are very short term, but they are cheap, easily effective, and honestly speaking, I would say it is the most familiar one that all of us know about.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. There are so many options in birth control nowadays. So, my next question to you is about the myths and misconception.
Okay. Okay. So, there are lots of myths associated with contraceptive pills, and mostly the woman will come back to us and say कि ये नुकसान देता है हमारी मम्मी ने या दादी नानी ने बोला है कि it's going to harm you in the future.
Okay.
But we need to understand that if we have misconceptions, they are as important as knowing the facts.
Okay.
So that's why I want to elaborate on them. The
Okay.
first misconception is that they cause you weight gain.
Okay.
We don't want to take it, we gain weight. So
Okay.
this is not exactly true. Most of the hormonal birth control pills also, they will not cause you weight gain. What happens is in the initial few days, it causes you fluid retention and maybe a little bloating, and that makes you feel a little heavy. But
Okay.
usually your body readjusts to it very fast.
Okay.
The second misconception that we have it just helps to prevent pregnancy, which is not true.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from pregnancy, they are real game changers to help you, combat the problems of PCOS, endometriosis, acne, even heavy or painful periods. So in a way, they have a combined effects that helps the woman in so many ways.
Okay.
Okay. The third misconception is the patients think that it will harm their fertility
Okay.
and they may have difficulty in getting pregnant.
Okay.
But the fact is that none of them actually harm your fertility. At times it happens that some may take a little longer to return back to fertility and help you conceive, but that is just your body readjusting to it. Those are usually the methods that are long-term contraceptive methods.
Okay.
The last myth associated with it is that they are, if you don't have sex on a regular basis, you don't need a birth control.
Mhm.
Now, this is not really a fact because, as I said before, apart from birth control, they really help you in so many other ways. Like, say, for example, if you have a PCOS, if you have an endometriosis, it is going to make your periods so regular
Okay.
and it is going to help you combat the pain that is associated with endometriosis. And plus, it is always better to be prepared. Don't you think so?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. So, the fact is that whenever you come across a dilemma that is there a myth, is there a truth, speak to your doctor. There is no one size that fits everybody. Talk to your doctor, come to a conclusion that, doctor, what is the best choice for me? And she will definitely help you out with that.
Okay. So thank you, ma'am. And as you elaborated so many options, it's very difficult to choose among all the options, right? So how would you advise your patients to choose the right option for the birth control methods?
So, what you have to look for is what is your lifestyle?
Okay.
What are the health concerns that you have? Maybe you would be having a medical condition that is contraindicating one particular method and in favor of another method.
Okay.
Then you have to look at the effectiveness,
Mhm.
that which method is best for me in terms of how successful it would be. See, say for example, you would be a working professional who's hard pressed for time always. You may not have a time really to pop in a pill and you may keep on forgetting. Or you may be a lactating mother, who has to look after your baby always and, you're always on your toes managing so many things. So definitely you would be looking for a long-term contraceptive method. Plus, you need to look at the side effects. Are these side effects available and are they okay with me? Can I combat with them? So,
Okay.
looking at all these options, then you have to talk to your doctor. You have to understand and see that which is the best size that is available for me that would fit me.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. This is very informative. My next question to you is about the hormonal birth control methods. Okay. So what are the hormonal birth control methods and what are the side effects of those?
Okay, now as I just elaborated, the hormonal birth control methods are all those pills, rings,
Yes.
the jabs that we talk about. They do have certain side effects. These are the short term side effects, could be maybe mood changes. You can have a little nausea when you just start the tablet, or you may have some headaches, but they are temporary and they are not so common. The long term side effects would be, and the most serious one I would say is, if you have, a history that you had blood clots in the past, they may cause stroke, they may cause liver diseases. But again, don't be scared of that. These are very, very rare and they are associated with, when it has been used for over more than 10 years or so.
Okay. So, ma'am, are there any major health concerns to the hormonal birth control options?
Yeah, as I said, see, if you do have a history of, say, thrombus or clot formation in the past, if you have a stroke history, if you actually suffer from some unexplained vaginal bleeding which has not been diagnosed before, then it is a contraindication. You should not go ahead with specifically the hormonal methods. Speak to your gynecologist about it, and only if she says a go ahead, please go for them.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. My next question about the non-hormonal birth control options. So, what are those options? Side effects of those options?
Okay. So as I said, it's not, the woman has got a battery of choices, it's not
Mhm.
just the hormonal methods. Some women, they come and say they are very reluctant. They have been told by their seniors that, okay, hormones are not good. So we do have some choices for them. The first one, what we say, is the barrier method. Now, barrier methods, as the name implies, they are physical barriers to the entry of sperm inside the woman.
Okay.
Okay. So to name them, we have got condoms. We have got both male and female choices.
Okay.
We have got the diaphragms and the cervical caps. We have got the intrauterine contraceptive devices, which are again long term. Plus, we've got some new ones that are just evolving in the market.
Okay. So, ma'am, could you please elaborate the side effects and benefits and drawbacks of non-hormonal birth control options?
Okay. So the first non-hormonal method what I spoke about is the barrier methods.
Mm-hmm.
Now, barrier methods, as the word sounds, they are physical barriers.
Okay.
They prevent the sperm from entering into the cervix,
Okay.
and consequently the pregnancy doesn't happen.
Okay.
So as you can understand, they are very easily available, they are cheap, they are effective as well. If they are used perfectly in the right way, they're as much as 98% effective.
Okay.
And plus, they are available in different shapes, colors, and flavors as well. right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The female condoms are also available. They are also equally effective, but
Mm-hmm.
they are for some reason less commonly used.
Okay.
Okay. The next barrier methods, what we have, the cervical caps and the diaphragms. Now they are fitted over the cervix of the female,
Okay.
but again they are less commonly used because of the inconvenience of fitting it on.
Okay.
Okay. The disadvantage to this barrier methods is that the most of the male condoms, there is a risk that it might tear. There could be a spill. So consequently, it may not be that friendly and that effective to use.
Okay.
But the major advantage of a barrier method is it protects the woman against sexually transmitted infections, which is like, a very big advantage because in addition to preventing pregnancy, the woman is really empowering herself for her reproductive health.
Okay.
Okay. The second one, what we spoke about the non-hormonal method is the intrauterine contraceptive devices.
Okay.
Now, they've got both hormonal and non-hormonal choices. The non-hormonal is what we say the copper IUCD. The hormonal
Okay.
ones is called the levonorgestrel, which is like the brand name is Marina.
Okay.
So, the copper IUCD, I'm basically talking about that. It has got major advantage that it is a set it and forget it option.
Hmm.
You get it fixed. It's an OPD procedure. Takes hardly 5 to 10 minutes to get it done. And then if it fits you well, you are sorted for the next 5 to 10 years. And you don't have to think about it at all. There is, it's a very low maintenance thing because you don't have to really bother. You don't have to, every day keep a reminder on your head that, okay, something needs to be checked. Maybe once in a while, you can just check the thread occasionally, or you can just walk into your doctor's chamber maybe once in 6 months and
Okay.
just get it checked that, okay, it is fitted inside.
Okay.
Okay. So in the long run, it turns out to be very, very cost effective as well. See, when you compare it with the monthly methods, if you have to buy a contraceptive pill every month, so if you compare it with a one pack versus what cost is being incurred for full 5 to 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
definitely the copper IUD would be more cost effective.
Okay.
Plus, the effectiveness, what we say, the efficacy of the copper IUD is wonderful. It is more than 99%. It is as almost equivalent to sterilization, what we say, the
Okay.
permanent method of contraception.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what are the disadvantages to copper T is? Number one, it is a little uncomfortable to get it fitted. So sometimes women are a little reluctant that it's going to hurt. It's, some foreign body going inside me. So what is needed is that you talk to your doctor and you understand the process properly and then get it done. So that you don't have that mind block inside that it's going to hurt me or harm me in any way.
Okay.
Okay. Second thing is that very rarely, the incidence is very, very rare. We say it's somewhere around, say, 1 in 1,000
Mm-hmm.
when it actually gets expelled out, or it may just get, embedded inside your uterus. But that usually happens when it has been inside for quite long. You're
Mhm.
supposed to get it checked regularly and get it removed after 5 years. But suppose you forget, you develop the comfort so much that we do come across women, who forget it even to get it removed at 5 years. So in that case, there is a possibility that it may get embedded.
Okay.
And the third disadvantage is that it may not be suitable for certain problems. Like suppose your uterus has got some abnormalities. Your uterus has got a big fibroid. It may not allow it to be retained over there. So again, you need to talk to your doctor and understand that which is am I the right candidate for this? And then go ahead with it.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. It was very informative. My next question to you is that are there any new emerging options in the non-hormonal methods of contraception?
Okay. So, medical science is very evolving. Day by day, we come across a lot of new things. So, recently, there is a non hormonal vaginal gel that has come up that's in the name of Fexi.
Gel.
Yeah. It is a gel. So, you just, it's so friendly that the woman has to just insert it in her vagina before
Okay.
intercourse. So, definitely, it's a female dependent method. It is,
Okay.
not dependent on your male counterpart.
Hmm.
And the gel, what it does is it lowers the pH of your vagina. So, it doesn't allow the sperm to move on. So, definitely, pregnancy will not occur. And the good part, it is FDA approved. It is close to 93% effective. Such kind of methods, they cannot be 99% effective. The hormonal contraceptives are definitely more effective, but they come with an advantage, of convenience. Yeah.
Okay, so ma'am, it's a gel-like gel? Or
Yeah,
I'm curious about it. That's
it's actually a gel.
Okay.
You just have to, it comes in the tube and you just have to insert it inside before intercourse. That's it.
Okay.
The male partner would not be affected by it at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and thank you. My next question to you is about the breastfeeding mothers who are planning to having the next baby or you want to use a contraceptive method. So your advice on that.
Right. So, a lactating mother, the main important thing what they need to consider is their milk supply should not go down when we are choosing a contraceptive method. Okay.
Okay.
So, when we go for the combined contraceptive pills, there are two problems to it. One, the milk supply goes down.
Okay.
And second is a lactating mother is always super busy. Okay, she's managing her children, she's managing the house, managing family, maybe some are managing work as well. So it's very difficult for them to remember to pop in the pill. So that is why we say that the combined pill may not be a suitable option for them.
Okay.
We do have some very friendly lactation pills. They have only progesterone, a hormone. They don't have estrogen in it. So they don't have any effect on the milk supply. But again, you need to look at your lifestyle. See, if you can manage to remember taking a pill every day, the lactation pill is very good for you.
Okay.
If you cannot, then we would say that we'll have to switch over to the non-hormonal methods, be it condoms, be it the intrauterine contraceptive devices. And then again, you need to talk to your doctor that which one is the best for you.
Okay. So my next question to you is about the sexually transmitted infection. I just wanted to ask that how contraceptive methods prevent the STIs?
Okay. So this is a major advantage that we have with the barrier methods. As I spoke about it earlier, whenever we are using condoms, condoms, they do prevent pregnancy, but the main advantage is that against all sexually transmitted infections, be it HIV, be it chlamydia, gonorrhea, be it, the common genital warts that we say, everything, the condoms are a very good barriers and they prevent the spread of that infection. So if a woman is using, or insisting on the male partner to use a condom, then she is not even just preventing her pregnancy, she is also empowering herself to prevent these infections and, just taking care of her reproductive health for the future.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. My next question to you is about reaching a woman to you or to any other doctor about the birth control options. Like, what are the signs and symptoms when they need to reach out to a doctor?
Are you talking about the switching method? Like if they're already using one and they want to switch over to the others? Okay. Okay. So whenever you're switching from one method to another, see, you may not be very happy with one particular pill, but you take a little time to reach out to your doctor. So what is really important is backup method.
Okay.
You are thinking in your mind that, okay, this pill is not suiting me. I'm getting a headache. I think I'm gaining weight. I need to speak to my doctor. Please don't stop taking the pill because if you stop it, you are not further protected for the next couple of days till you start a new contraception. So what is important is have a backup method. Now, what do we mean by a backup method is, say for example, condoms, as I said, are very readily available and very easy to find.
Okay.
So maybe you can use a condoms for a week. Okay. So that will give you a protection. Even, when you go to your doctor and she suggests another one, a second one for you, she will overlap it with the condom and she'll say that use it for a week and then you go for the next one.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
that is one thing when you're switching. Second, another important thing is, again, you need to consider that, okay, am I the right candidate for going from a hormonal or from a non-hormonal to a
Yes.
hormonal method? Because you may be having some contraindications. So you need to discuss with your doctor that what are the options that are further available for switching, and when is the right time to go for a switch method.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And thank you for sharing your expertise and knowledge with us. Uh, Thank you for listening to us. Until next time, stay protected and choose the right method of contraceptive. Thank you.